We were pretty famous back in high school.
Trust us. Had a whole future ahead of us, but now we suck.
All that potential now is flowing in the aqueducts.
Through the sands of time, many did forget.
But now our time has come to resurrect. But a podcast?
Sad I know, but can you blame us?
We are desperate to be much more than high school famous.
You normally always start these things.
You did not last long.
With what?
I thought we were going to comically wait out how long we could sit before anyone says anything. And like after 3 seconds, you're like, hey, aren't you going to start this thing?
Well, that's fun for the listeners to sit and just listen to silence for how long?
It could have started with us occasionally going like,
Well, that'd be breaking the
Stuff like
silence
that.
already.
Right, but we're not talking. It's to audibly show that we're sort of annoyed and also wondering how long this is going to go on for.
Well,
Or I'm sorry, wondering for how long this is going to go on.
we clearly didn't discuss this ahead of time.
We seldom do discuss anything
we could
ahead
have
of
came
time.
up with a plan.
It goes against the show to discuss things ahead of time.
So this whole episode, we're scrapping the idea behind it, or?
I mean, we can still do it.
But we've discussed it ahead of time.
I'm just saying that's what is typical. It's not
Okay.
mandatory.
So just because it's typical that we don't, doesn't mean we couldn't have discussed ahead of time to do this big, weird silence.
We could have, but I'm just saying that's not the typical. So
It's atypical.
why would I have thought that that's something we should have done instead of going into it organically when we, by default, our baseline is to go in and not discuss things ahead of time.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into this podcast, still called High School Famous.
Yeah, some things don't change their name.
Right. Did something change their name?
TFL.
I'm not TFL.
Oh, TFR. Sorry.
I'm TFR still.
Where'd the L come from?
I don't know. The word fool ends in L.
Oh, I was just thinking about how much you're a loser.
Okay.
And the L just total fool loser.
It rolled off the tongue.
Not really.
It
It doesn't roll off the tongue really well at all.
it's just what naturally came to your mind when
Yeah.
thinking of me.
Mm-hmm. Total fool and a loser.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to switch to that simply because I would have to change that logo. I mean, it'd be a simple matter of deleting the R and typing an L in its place. But I already have my cool shirt that says TFR on it, and I'd like for that to remain non-obsolete.
Who determines if a shirt is cool?
I suppose the masses I like it though.
Okay.
Because of all the sort of logos I've had, which aren't many, but it's the one I've liked the most,
Okay.
if that makes sense. So
Mhm.
I don't plan on changing the branding as far as the look of it anytime soon.
Right.
Right. So that's I would like for my shirt to no longer be like, I don't want it to become, oh well, that's not relevant to the channel anymore. Those aren't the initials of the name. It once was.
Look,
Look, it's economical. It's cost saving.
Yeah. This is off to a bad start.
It never is off to a good start.
Let's
Start over.
no.
Hello, everyone.
Sure.
Welcome
none of that's
in.
getting cut, but yeah.
Welcome into the podcast that remains under the
So you do the same thing.
moniker of...
I just talk about how it's not great, and you do the exact same thing.
Okay. All right. I'll do something different. Hear ye.
No.
Townspeople.
New choice.
Oh no. I never liked these things. The court of the king requests your
New choice. It's the
presence.
same choice.
No, it isn't.
It's the same theme.
No, it isn't. Well, I started out with hear ye, and then you told me to say something different, and I started off with something that wasn't hear ye.
All right. Well, it had the same.
Therefore, it's a new
It had
choice.
the same feel.
Well, one is like royalty. One is colonial America, I think. Hear ye? That could be colonial
No, that's
America. Could be.
That's very like Renaissance-y,
Like someone's reading from a
time
from,
period-ish
from
stuff as well. Like
Yeah.
a scroll.
A scroll is unrolled, and then they're reading the message, the request from the king. Howdy, folks!
I'm just gonna stop telling you to change
It's
it because
time
it's
for
not
this
gonna get better.
daggum podcast.
My
High
God.
school famous. I know most of you didn't graduate,
We're
but that's
regressing.
okay. What?
I said we're regressing.
I am hearing myself bleed out of your headphones. I was hearing myself quite a bit on that part.
Well, you were talking pretty loudly, and my headphones are not.
Sure,
my
I
volume's
was.
low.
You said new choice. My first two choices were kind of subdued.
Are you just trying to see how loud you can get to keep hearing yourself as I continue to turn down the volume?
No, I was just continuing. I didn't.
Okay.
Continuing. You're gonna level it out all out anyway. You're gonna level it. You do stuff with levels.
Yeah, I love doing extra work to cut out additional background noise when I have to.
You don't cut out the headphone bleed. I hear it a lot.
I've been doing it more so recently.
Last episode, there was plenty of it.
I wouldn't say plenty.
Well,
if you listen to each, if you listen to each track separately, yeah, you can probably hear it. But if you listen to the two tracks together, you get covered up by your own voice.
No, I'm hearing it as I'm editing because I have to listen to the entire episode all the way through, unlike you do.
Then maybe you should start doing the audio editing because clearly I have bad hearing if I can't hear it when I'm doing the audio editing. I actually already know that I have bad hearing.
I'm using your audio, which is funny.
Yeah, that's why I was saying you should do the audio editing also for the podcast version of the show because clearly you have much more keen ears.
No.
And you can hear when you're bleeding into my headphones. You could also not scream "Howdy, y'all!" so damn loud.
You said your choice. Don't get angry by the choice you get when you declare that I must provide a new choice. You are also.
Since when have you done whatever I've told you to do?
When I felt backed into a corner, when I felt helpless, like that, when I felt like I had no other option. When I felt like there might be dire consequences for me if I don't do what you say. Howdy, y'all!
No.
I feel trapped!
I'm like covering these up so I don't hear you.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So that you don't hear me bleed through or you don't hear me at all? Because if you're trying to make it so you don't hear me at all, when you're doing this.
Oh, yeah. I was doing that subconsciously I just did this.
Reflexes
to try not to hear you, and all I did was make it easier to hear you.
You contained more of the sound.
Yeah, I blocked out more of the outside noise from bleeding in.
Yeah. You trapped more of my sound from getting out.
Yeah, maybe that's how I keep it from bleeding into the microphone, is I just sit here and record like this the whole time.
You should just lean away from the mic.
Well,
Chocolate rain.
That's for breathing.
I know.
I mean, I can try
no.
Sitting back a little further and seeing how that works.
You still sound great to me.
Thanks, buddy.
As in, your level is not...
No.
Oh, no.
Too late. I already took it the way I took first choice.
Oh, wow. Okay. Hey, I passed the first try. All right.
Intros are done.
Yep, we're done. I'm Sean. Students, turn your pages to textbook 212. Yep, I got that mixed up.
Somebody's a little loopy. Dude, if we
I don't know.
If we would have recorded this last night, I was so out of it by the time I got home.
Maybe you would have been in a better mood.
I'm not in a bad mood.
You're in a shitty mood right now. You're being a dick. You're in a dickish mood.
Well, you are what you eat.
Yep. So anyway, F everybody and F
what?
Resolutions.
Did you not do your paintings?
I did one painting. I don't want to do
so you're
this.
still one behind.
I don't care about being one behind. I'm not gonna.
This is from this one you're gonna show us today is from last week.
Well,
and you'll still owe us 2.
I'm sitting here going
I'm holding you to this.
But listen to me. First of all, we just went over the fact that me editing the show is a lot more work than you editing the show. You also want me to, on top of that, do a painting a week, and I'm supposed to do all these other things that I do. When, why don't you have to do any of your resolutions?
Both of my resolutions are in full swing.
Okay, so you're dating people online?
About to.
Yeah. Oh, you are? Okay.
Yep.
We're a whole month into the year already.
You can't just immediately go out for a date. It says
right now. You were supposed to do it right now.
You start meeting people, and then you get to the point where okay, hey, let's go out on a date.
Okay. What was your other
that's
one?
working. And then the other one is to not hit on my friends' significant others. Done.
Done, I suppose.
Sorry that both of my resolutions were super easy.
Yeah, I get one that's requires actual action. Well, the dating thing does, but it's not weekly. For you, it didn't say date people online once a week.
Yeah, it could just be one person. I could just date one time and be done.
Because also, you were like, oh, I'd really like to see, if you really try, how much your painting might improve over time. And that just means that each painting is going to take longer than the previous painting did.
Not necessarily. If you get better at it, it'll go faster.
But I don't know how
Bob Ross can do a whole landscape in one half-hour-long show.
Bob Ross is dead.
Well, he could do that back in the day.
You don't think there was any editing involved? Speaking of production and entertainment, you think that was just a static camera and it was a live feed to the audience?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was no such thing as movie magic at that time, Sean.
Bob Ross you wouldn't apply
he provided his own magic.
You wouldn't apply movie magic to television. You would apply.
All right, sorry, there was no TV magic.
Okay. Then what do you call the Muppets?
Puppets. I call them Muppets.
I call them my friends.
What I call them.
That's what they're classified as, and there is a difference between a puppet and a Muppet.
Yeah,
if you recall.
Yeah,
one was created by Jim Henson.
That's the only
and the
difference.
Other wasn't. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just making.
I thought
that
you
up.
had a real answer to that. What
no, because we looked it up one time. We talked
did?
about it
On here.
Yes.
Oh fuck, we've talked.
Yeah.
I mean, we're 212 pages in.
I know. Who can recall what happened? I don't remember what happened on 2/11.
I don't remember. I'm hoping I remember what happens on 9/11. I hope I never forget.
I hope I never forget either.
Whenever we get there.
Speaking of that date,
we should plan that episode. We got a lot of time.
Meticulously.
Yeah.
We'll
get the government involved.
What? We'll make it look like it's something that it's not.
Yeah.
And then we'll point the finger at anyway.
Thousands of casualties.
I recently watched the Matrix trilogy with the lad, and so then I watched a sort of a deep dive video on the first movie, and I didn't. Mm-hmm. One thing that they pointed out was that just complete coincidence. At one point, you see when they're looking through, when the agents are looking through his little book of files or whatever,
okay.
And that when they're about to interrogate him or whatever, and put the bug in him, there's a quick shot of of Neo's passport, or Thomas Anderson's passport.
Yep.
And it expires on September 11th, 2001, and you're shaking your head because you knew that already.
I saw that. Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't remember it until you started saying it expires, and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Lots of things expired that day.
Too soon.
Never forget. I really wasn't trying to make light of that event. It's just that sometimes when a joke is in front of me, I just say it.
When something presents itself to you in such a way, your mouth just opens and you just
grab on and I
gobble it up.
Tug.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Until the sweet, sweet nectar of comedy comes out. The spewy tube.
What were we talking about?
September 11th. Would you like to keep
before
talking
that,
about
what
that?
were we talking about before that ended up turning into September 11th?
Well, you turned it into, you brought up September 11th in the first place.
I'm not saying I didn't. I'm saying what were we talking about?
We were talking, oddly enough, we were talking about how we can't remember what we've talked about.
Right.
Yeah. So, how fitting.
Mm-hmm.
How fitting, y'all!
I have popcorn kernels in my teeth, and it's quite annoying right now.
When did they get promoted?
Moving on.
Come on. I'm trying to do something.
I was eating a bunch of popcorn lieutenants earlier.
Yeah. Oh, they were so eager to advance down
I shouldn't say I have popcorn kernels in my teeth, because I'd have some crazy teeth gaps. I have fragments of popcorn in my teeth from, oddly enough, eating popcorn earlier.
No way! Was it when you were playing video games in your room?
No, it was when I was having some lunch prior to coming on here to do this. I quickly made myself a couple PB&J sandwiches and then followed that up with a little bit of popcorn.
I would say that unless it's a Charlie Brown Thanksgiving, popcorn should never be like a side in a meal. It should never be considered part of a meal.
Well, it was just I needed something to eat. So I made a couple peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and then had some popcorn as well.
And that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Get on the bike, dude. 2 sandwiches?
I'm on my bike every fucking day, dude.
2 sandwiches? You're like, oh, I need more.
I was hungry. I hadn't eaten anything since like sometime last night.
Wednesday.
You've never had 2 sandwiches.
But
PB&J is basically just bread and then a little bit of spread on it. It's not like a fucking turkey sandwich.
Well, there's protein in the peanut butter at least, and there's probably some sort of...
Oh yeah, that protein really filled me up. Oh, I got so full off... I'm amazed I wolfed down that second fucking sandwich of protein.
So I did one.
This is the section where we talked about PB&J.
Gotcha. And popcorn. Don't forget popcorn.
Oh, that's a side character at this point.
Never. It always should be a side character.
No, according to you, it shouldn't.
Never forget popcorn, Matt.
I couldn't possibly forget popcorn.
A
second kernel just hit my tooth.
Oh, a fragment of a man, the shell of a man. All right. I'm gonna share the old scrun. You're gonna see my pine tongue. I call it chessboard.
If it's just a fucking checkerboard looking fucking shit. All right, go on. It's just a chessboard.
It's not just a chessboard.
It's a foldable chessboard.
It's my chessboard. So
you did a still life.
I looked at this and painted what I saw. Yes.
Okay.
Look at even the
you did some good gradient work there.
You know, that's all accident. That was just how the paint looked when I colored in the area.
Oh.
I didn't intend for that at all.
Well, less impressive.
It looks great though, right?
I mean, yeah, it's you know, some of your lines are pretty straight.
And this is with a mouse running across a couch cushion.
Why a couch cushion?
Because the chessboard is down on my coffee table, and no, I cannot relocate it.
Well, why couldn't you have used the coffee table as a flat surface to run your mouse against?
I would have to lean forward a lot. I was all about leaning back on the couch and painting with the laptop in my lap and the mouse at my side.
Okay.
The popcorn in my belly.
And you freehanded all the letters and numbers?
I freehanded everything.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know how to switch windows, so I could just show you something else. Do I have to stop sharing and then share again?
I have no idea. I've never played with it.
I'm guessing I have to stop sharing.
Okay.
And now share a different window. And here's the original. So you can see.
I did not care about seeing the original.
You can see how good of a job I did.
Wow.
I can even
uncanny.
even using TV magic later, I can put the two images up side by side in the YouTube
Right.
version
I mean,
of the
you could
show.
probably do that now if you just
Nope,
opened
I don't think
two
I
separate
can.
things onto
Well,
one screen and then shared that screen.
Well, yeah.
It's totally fine. You don't have to. I don't even own a chessboard anymore. I got rid of my chess. No, I gave it away.
Oh, to a homeless man in the park.
No, I gave it to my nephew.
And he plays chess.
I assume so. My mom took it for him.
Maybe she cut the tops off of all of the pieces so they are all just flat, round discs now, and he plays a version of chess that I call checkers. Checkmate.
There's more pieces than you need then, isn't there?
Then you have extra pieces.
I suppose. In case you get all the way across without dying before you lose any pieces and you need to be kinged.
Yeah, well, some checker pieces have the king on the opposite side, so you just flip it over.
Well, these clearly wouldn't.
That's true. So you would have to stack them to say that this one is a king and this one is not a king.
Mm-hmm. Old school.
Old school, yeah. Before the advancements in checkers technology, where you could have one side of a piece represent the king side and the other side represent the non-king
Yeah, it's crazy
side.
it took them that long to figure that out, considering coins had been a thing for a long time.
Yeah. An object with a distinct marking on each side.
I mean, I guess early coins. I guess around the time when checkers was invented, coins typically probably just had the same image on both sides,
or no image.
It was just a flat, round piece of metal.
Sure. Maybe its value is based on how many like markings naturally got marked into it as it's being, used and gone
That'd
through
be a
the world.
really shitty way to figure out the value of something.
Like somebody drops a coin on a rock and all of a sudden there's a little scratch on the coin.
It's gained value.
Oh, wow.
People would just be beating the shit out of their money constantly.
Well, there was a group that was tasked with being able to correctly identify naturally occurring markings and those that are just scratched in by someone who's trying to inaccurately or trying to manufacture a higher value on their coin. I
think people would just drop their coins and make marks on them. Then they're occurring naturally from the coin getting marked up by falling on something. They're not getting etched in.
Well, if you are a person who, if you drop your coin so much that's clearly intentional, you're accused of witchcraft, and you're hanged or burned.
Well, I'd have so much money, I would just buy the trial, and I'd be fine.
There's no trial.
It was called the Salem Witch Trials.
Okay, you're clearly talking about
trial was a big part of it.
I understand that, but again, this was talking about the era in which checkers was invented. So long before the Salem witch trials, I'm pretty sure they handled witches differently back then.
Pretty sure, or are you absolutely sure?
Absolutely sure. I spit out nothing but truly proven facts, hence the coin value system. So my memory is not great, but a while ago, I did watch the movie The Beastmaster.
Yeah.
So I discovered the issue with my style of taking notes that I've had in the past with these endeavors. And that is, I just sort of type notes that are sort of commenting on a very specific part as I see it. But I don't have notes that sort of tell the story of the movie and then point out the little things that happen during the movie.
Right.
So right now there's just like a note that says like, how is this kid just standing around with an arrow in his heart? But there's no context as to what went on around that to make
that's
it
not
like
very
a
helpful.
cohesive way to talk about the movie. So what I was going to try to do, and what I started doing as I was rewatching today, was just sort of map out the events of the movie.
Correct.
And I only got part of the way through, and then we had to record.
Mm-hmm.
But you know the movie well enough.
I yes and no. I pulled up the Wikipedia entry for it as well, so I can kind of
So let me.
be reminded.
I'll get as far as I got.
Okay.
So one of the stranger names in movie history.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's pronounced Mayax.
Mayax. Yep.
Yeah, it's it's Max with 2 A's.
Yep.
Anyway, he is told by the witch women who are, I don't know what they're
on trial.
That's how. Yeah. Anyway, that he must. He is his the prophecy according to R, the god's name. I forget what it was.
Yeah. A-R.
That okay. Well, the guy's name is Dar. The god's name is R. It's like come on, Mayax. Anyway, so they're like, hey, the prophecy according to our god says this unborn child of the king is going to kill you. You're going to die that way. And he's like, no. God says that we must sacrifice this child. And I'm like, well, how does that? Your God is going to make it so his own prophecy can't be fulfilled. Anyway. Anyway.
Clearly he was lying, Sean.
So I know, but either way, I thought that's either sloppy writing or maybe it wasn't a purposeful way to say like, hey, this guy is just who wants to be in power so much, he will say whatever he needs to that's in the word of God in order to favor him. Anyway. So the king shows up. He's like, hey, I heard you're going to sacrifice a kid. Well, I'm not going to let you do that. So you're going to have to get out of here. And then I don't know what his response to this was supposed to get him, but he goes, it's going to be your kid. And then that's going to help his case. That's going to make the king go, whoa, well, maybe you should stay.
No, I'm not.
Yeah. He goes, it's going to be your kid, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get out of here. So he banishes Mayax from the Aran temple or whatever. He said, hey, go hang out with the Juns, you loser. The Juns being this band of
you loser.
Bands of this group of folks that horse around and attack villagers and kill people. Anyway, so then as he's being escorted out of town, he sees one of the witch women.
Right.
Kind of like, I got this. Don't you worry. She sneaks off to the queen and king's hut, I guess. They sleep in an open hut in a city where a man who's in a high position of power just tells him that the god that town worships decrees that your kid's going to have to die. Let's just sleep in an open hut, unprotected, as the king and queen.
No guards.
No guards, nothing.
Yeah.
So
Kennedy got assassinated.
That is right. There were no guards and no whatever else you said.
I think it was just guards.
Okay. I thought you said two things. I think you said no guards, no blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
no guards, no second shooter.
Oh, okay. No grassy knoll.
Yeah. I didn't see
what you said.
I didn't see any grass in that whole video.
I didn't see a knoll for miles.
Right.
What is a knoll? Anyway. So one of the
member of Oasis.
Definitely maybe.
Moving on.
So one specific element of the baby being taken from the mother in order to be sacrificed is that the baby must be cut from the mother. Right? I don't know the exact reasoning behind what the witch woman did, but she might have gotten what the god wanted out of a technicality, because she sort of just waved her fingers over the womb, and then the baby was magically transported from her womb to the witch woman's cow's womb. And then she cut the baby from that cow's womb. But then wouldn't it make it not the king's unborn child anymore? It's the cow's unborn child now?
It would still technically be his child.
But I said that the baby has to be cut from the mother.
Yeah.
The cow is not the mother of the child.
Yeah, but the cow is also not the father of the child. The king would still be the father of the child.
Sure, but...
So it's still his child.
She's still technically, like, trying to get around the rule.
I don't know what the choice... Other than to, move the Beastmaster aspect of this movie along,
sure.
What would be the point of her moving the baby to a different place to cut it out versus just, unless she's like, well, I don't want to be a murderer and kill the queen of this city that we, all. I love this place. I love this city, and I don't want to,
Maybe she's like, oh man, Mayax was going to do this, and now he's gone. No, I have to.
Yeah, I don't. I can't bear something against her. Her moral she's code? A witch. She's not a fucking. I was like, she's like a nun, but she's not. She's a fucking witch, so she can do whatever she wants. Something against the witch code to cut another woman. I don't know.
Girl code.
Yeah,
I guess Beastmaster girl code. I don't know.
She's like, we still want to go do Galentine's Day together. She will never forgive me if I cut her.
Well, I forgot that there's such a term as Galentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you have a gallon of fun.
I'm going to go have me a Galentine's Day.
Right? Men could have Galentine's Day.
Yeah.
I just need to buy a gallon of ice cream and eat the whole thing in one sitting.
Yeah. How could you, Sean? You couldn't handle 2 sandwiches.
Bread expands.
Dairy makes you shit. So what?
All food makes you shit. What do you mean, dairy?
I mean, makes you shit faster than normal.
That's efficiency. I would like to shit faster than normal.
Okay.
I want it to be at an alarming level where all of a sudden, like, the integrity of my pants is compromised. Anywho.
Well, you'll quickly try to find a witch and have her transport your shit into somebody else's body.
Into their intestines, yeah. So you can cut it from their body instead of mine. No, so she cuts the baby from the cow, which I thought, she was able to. She walked herself and the cow to the hut, then does the whole baby magic transfer. I'm sort of being a little dyslexic today when it comes to words and letters, and then she vanishes and appears in the woods. Like, why did you have to go to the mother at all? Anyway, she physically walked to the hut and then vanished off.
Yeah.
She couldn't have just like vanished there, like appeared there and then disappeared and appeared somewhere else. She was able to disappear herself and the cow. I know disappear herself, I don't think is
teleport herself.
Teleport herself and the cow.
Well, so maybe she can only do 2 teleportations at a time, right? So she teleported the baby out into the cow, and then she teleported herself and the cow away, and then she was like, I'm out of... Well, yeah, but that was all a group thing. She was like holding onto the cow, and
by a
so
rope.
That counts as a... Yeah.
So she teleported the rope. She teleported all of her clothes.
Yeah. But that's all... It's all touching. So that counts as one teleportation.
So right now, inside the mother's womb, there must be an umbilical cord that connects to nothing, that food is being fed through and just spewing out.
Or
she might need medical attention.
Inside the queen is a baby cow. Maybe she did the old switcheroo.
Switcher-moo.
Wow.
I'm channeling the spirit of our friend Snooze Magoo with that one.
Oh,
no,
wow.
that's I didn't think of that.
I almost wanted to say see you next Tuesday right there.
So then the queen gives birth to the cow, and the cow is now the rightful heir to the throne.
No, because the cow is still not the son of the king.
But these people of this time they're not gonna know that. They're gonna go, oh my gosh, this woman gave birth to a cow. Some sort of message from the god R.
But they are respectful.
The cow must rule our city.
They're respectful of their king and queen, so they would never assume it's actually a cow. They would just be like, wow, they have a really odd-looking baby, but we have to be nice about it.
He is the most beautiful
Oh,
baby.
God, that's our king. That's our future king.
I've ever seen. Oh, long live the king. Oh. Hail to Prince. you know,
he sounds like he's
Bessie.
a little slow. He's not quite getting it.
Why does he graze so much?
Yeah. Doesn't talk much.
Yeah, so then the woman is at must be a magical fire because the flame is very blue. And she brands a symbol onto the baby's hand, and the baby is pissed. And this little man, this humble, what appears to be like a humble farmer, who, coming to think about it, is nowhere near where he lives at this point. He's just walking his animal around, and he witnesses the near killing of this baby. So he decides to put a stop to it. He draws his sword, and the witch uses her magic to make his sword fling straight up in the air. And then she stands there and waits for the sword to land on the ground directly in front of him. So he picks it back up and points it at her, and she uses that opportune moment to attack, in which she lunges her own body into the sword.
So I have no way to explain why she did that.
you were
I was trying to come up with a reasoning as to why she would do it like that.
She goes to the trouble to disarm him.
Yeah.
And then just lets it fall right. It sticks into the ground blade first, right? And he could just pick it up by the handle and just points it at her. Like, what? That was completely useless. She has clearly no battle training.
No. She's all she's really good at doing is teleporting babies around.
Yeah. I did note.
And branding the baby that you're about to sacrifice seems weird.
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah.
They didn't seem to do that with future children they were sacrificing later on in the movie. I did note in my first little bit of notes, the movie opens with Mayax, Rip Torn, being warned by the witch women his name surely was used to describe the design for their faces. The witch women's faces.
What?
They look ripped and torn. That was the joke.
Got it.
No, you don't.
I got it now that you explained it.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of how the name Mayax described their faces.
I should have just said, like, the movie opens with Rip Torn being warned by the witch women. Anyway, I'm bad at talking.
Moving on.
So he takes the baby back to his village.
Yes.
And he just walks home with the baby and holds the baby up in the air. No words exchanged. No explanation of, I found this baby, I saved its life. He just holds it up. They're like, oh! In awe,
said,
like there's something special
all
about
of this will be yours one day.
Yeah. The baby the light touches. Anywhere the light doesn't touch, you're not allowed to go.
The baby the light touches makes sense. Any baby the light touches is your baby.
Yeah, but just don't touch where the light doesn't shine.
Yeah. Oh,
you're not allowed to touch.
Yeah. No, not for 18 years.
Yeah. Anyway, so then he's training the boy as his own. He raises him as his own son.
I'll teach the boy.
Yeah.
Or no, I'll take the boy, teach him the way of the herd.
Jungle Book, The Wolves?
No,
right?
I think that was from, well, it might have been a reference to that, but I thought it was on Family Guy.
Oh, probably. But I think it was
probably a reference to Jungle Book, yeah.
And they're just sort of hanging out.
And then it got shot.
Yeah. They're just sort of hanging out. And then, oh, you're right. It was a deer.
Yeah.
They're hanging out with the kid, the guy, and then another guy. I don't remember the other guy's name. But a bear pulls the guy in the woods, the unnamed guy.
Right.
And then the bear comes out. And then the guy, the dad, the adoptive dad of Dar, just kind of lays there like, get away. Dar, get away. Don't go near the bear. And he's just sitting there watching this happen. And then
after one man has just been eaten.
Yeah.
No, well, the bear's nice and full. I'm not super worried about it. He
does get thrown back out of the woods, and he just goes, my leg.
Oh.
And then moments later, the guy's like, he died. But anyway,
I need to watch this again.
So the kid just stares at the bear, and then the bear leaves. And from that,
right,
the adoptive dad is just able to surmise that this kid has special powers, and it should be kept a secret. The bear could have just decided there's 2 against 1.
Right.
or something, or I'm just tired of attacking. I mean, do bears just grab people and yank them into the woods and toss them back out after biting their leg? No.
No,
I
that
think
sounds more
bear's-
like a shark.
Sounds like more like,
Sounds like something a shark would do.
yeah,
Drag somebody into the woods.
into the woods.
Their leg and then throw them back.
Realize, oh shit, I need to breathe.
But like people do this to fish all the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw
Take
it
us
back.
out and then throw us back.
Yeah,
I'm about to do it to humans.
humans.
But I need to go to
Payback.
their but because I'm a shark, I need to go where they are.
They
Hence,
come to the
it's
water.
in the woods.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, made sense eventually in my brain.
So then, then they go home. Or no, he sends kid, go tell the village that this guy's dead. And the kid's running off, swinging his like fake sword around. He seems pretty excited to deliver the news that he just watched a man get murdered.
It was the town pedophile, so it's fine.
Oh, finally, it's over.
Woo!
Whew, I was gonna do what the bear took care of for me on that trip. If
Okay.
if it didn't show up, I was gonna do to him what he did to me. Where the sun don't shine.
I was gonna bite his leg.
Yeah. Whereas anyway, so then they just go cut to the future. Daughter's all grown up. He's a grown man.
Mm-hmm.
His dad is
That's
older
how you
now.
age up: is you deliver bad news to your village, and then immediately you're an adult.
Well, your innocence is lost at that point.
Oh,
You know, it's a metaphor.
yeah.
So, Dar and the strapping boys the strapping young men of the village go off to what I guess is tilling the field. They look like they're just sort of sweeping up grass. They're just using tools on the ground. It doesn't look like they're really accomplishing anything at all. There's just this quick shot of
Sometimes
them
you just
like,
got to try stuff out until you figure things
Yeah.
out, and
oh, the grass is still in the ground.
yeah. How do we remove this grass from the ground?
Oh, what if I use the other end of the tool?
Tried screaming at it. That didn't work.
I tried peeing on it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I asked it politely.
Yeah. Anyway, then the Juns show up. I'm guessing they must have got word that Dar was living in this village because they just storm in and this village. If you remember what this village looks like,
Not really.
it's a very odd choice of construction.
Okay.
It's a round fence
Right.
with an opening in one end.
Mm-hmm.
So there's one way in, one way out.
Right.
Unless
Seems
you're
safe.
Unless you're going to scale the fence. It doesn't appear that there's any way to close or open the gate, the entrance to the fence.
Okay, so it's just a hole.
Yep. And then the fence is, a height which you think would be, we built this fence around so it can protect anything that's kept within the fence.
Right.
But all of the living structures are suspended really, really high up on these giant wooden poles.
Okay.
So if anyone wanted to attack the village, they would just like shoot arrows over the fence and into the houses, clearly visible from outside the village.
Yeah, but then they can also shoot arrows out.
They can do that,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
But
If they have that technology.
arrows?
Yeah.
There are arrows used in this movie.
On which side? Bad guy side or good guy side?
The Juns for sure.
Yeah. See?
I only saw the Juns use the arrows, and they were always from crossbows. They were never from a traditional bow. So, but whatever tactical advantage that this arrangement might have given them clearly didn't come into play,
Right.
or they forgot about it when the Juns showed up, because it seemed that all of the townspeople decide, hey, I'm just going to run back and forth inside this circle and hope to get away. And then the 4 defenders at the entrance to the circle are just these very aged, out of shape old men.
Yeah.
Against a horde of people on horseback with armor. Oh, they don't have any armor on either.
Yeah, they
They'll
got
just
this.
each have a sword. Anyway, so the horses start to charge, and Dar's dad just gets knocked over instantly. He doesn't even swing his sword once at anybody. He just gets knocked over.
Because he's like, I did the sword thing years ago.
I've been
with
waiting
the witch.
to die.
Yeah.
This is my excuse
Mhm.
to make it not. I'm not going out as a coward.
Should have been me with that bear.
Gross. Anyway, so they attack the strapping young men of the village. Race to get there. Had they been there when the enemies arrived, it might have had a better chance of survival. But
had they been there when the enemy arrived, they also would have been slaughtered.
They did all get slaughtered. I mean,
yeah.
The only survivor was Dar, who
of course,
just happened to get knocked out, and so they just thought he was dead. So the entire village is killed, and everything's set on fire. And at some point, for some reason, the houses just started to explode. They're just wood and straw houses.
Well,
unless there's some sort of, jars of kerosene or something.
Yeah.
Oh, there were. Okay.
Yeah, they were gonna make. They didn't have arrows. All they had was Molotov cocktails. They just didn't get anybody up there fast enough to throw them down.
Well, there were people in that. There were some people.
Well, those
up
people
there.
were the dumb people.
Well, they ended up like very movie stuntman style, falling out and doing like a half flip with their arms straight out, like very. Anyway, so some of them landed on some spikes, some poles that were sharp at the end for some reason.
Yeah, and that was all practical.
Yeah, with fake bodies. Yes. Anyway, I think that since the poles weren't like graduated, you would think that the body would just slide all the way down.
Yeah, eventually.
So anyway, he declares revenge. Dar declares revenge on the Juns. Right. Oh, also, you see Mayax show up with them. So clearly he did go off and join the Juns, and now to basically gain power back in some form. So he vows to seek revenge on those who killed his village. And then he ventures off, and this is where he, finds himself as a man, I guess. He just starts swinging a wood rod out in the rocks to train or something. Right. Anyway, this bird lands next to him, and I don't know what kind of bird this is, if it's a hawk or a falcon or a...
It's a golden eagle.
It isn't a golden eagle. This is not Rescuers Down Under.
This is according to... If this is the bird that he befriends,
okay.
According to the Wikipedia page, it is a golden eagle.
Well, it looks very not golden colored.
Well,
did they do to it what they did to the tiger?
To the tiger, yeah.
Because I was sitting there seriously when I first watched this movie. I'm like, what animal is that? Because its face and its body says tiger, but the color does not say tiger. And I tried to look up black tiger, and there are some that are like black and white, but no just solid black tigers.
Nope.
So I did find out that they colored the tiger's hair because it is supposed to be a panther. And I guess tigers are easier to handle for filming and stuff. So
I also found that same information.
But the thing is, they never identify the animal in the movie as a panther, so there was no point in even going to those details. Like, they could have just said he befriended a tiger.
I'm wondering if it was just like, I don't know why it would matter to make it like more realistic of like a tiger wouldn't be in this region. Environment. Yeah. So I don't know if it was that type of a thing when really the person watching it probably wouldn't care.
Would ferrets be in that environment?
I don't know.
Would quicksand be in that environment? No.
I mean, well, quicksand can be anywhere.
Right, but it's very rarely found in, the desert. It is. I looked it up.
Yeah. It's also never as it's depicted in TVs or in movies, so.
Right. Anyway, so
quicksand's typically not deep enough for you to actually drown in.
So, as he's training, he I got confused a little bit by how, because he says at some point in the movie that he can see what the animals see and they can see what he sees.
Right.
Okay. But when he befriends the panther and the ferrets and the bird, which is a golden eagle, he goes, oh, now I've got my eyes, the bird, my cunning, the ferrets, and my muscle or strength or whatever he said for the panther. If he can use the eyes of any of the animals, then why is the bird specifically his eyes? Just because he can get a bird's eye view of what's going on?
Of course.
Because it looked like he could see what the bird saw to know that the panther was being tortured by the Juns. But then it turned into him seeing what the panther saw. It was not clear to me at first.
Well, I'm sorry if you couldn't comprehend this very complex and nuanced movie, Sean.
But so he runs into these ferrets because they steal some piece of his gear. For what purpose? I don't know. We learned that they just like to steal things.
Yeah,
that's just what
they're
they
just
are
a couple
all about.
little thieves. They do it for the joy of it.
Yeah, and he decides to chase after them instead of do what he does with them moments later, which is like convince them to do what he wants.
He had to get his hands on them first.
Is that what it is?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I don't think he ever got his hands on the bird. Maybe it did land on his arm a few times, but in any event. They steal his gear. He runs after them. He falls off a little cliff and lands in some quicksand. And the ferrets are hanging out on a branch that's just out of his reach. And he channels his Beastmaster abilities to communicate with the ferrets to help him. And so one ferret goes a little bit further out on the branch, and then the other ferret starts to chew on the branch. It very quickly chews through the branch enough so that the weight of this ferret will cause the branch to sink down lower to make it within reach of Dar.
Right. It's pretty smart.
Dar is unable to use that same branch, which just buckled under the weight of a ferret.
Right.
To pull his own body against the suction power of the quicksand.
Yeah.
And free himself.
What's your problem with this?
Ferrets are not known to chew through wood.
That's the one thing I'll agree on.
I actually don't know if that's true about ferrets.
I don't know either. Also, physics.
I did look up the average weight of a ferret.
You see, this is why you had trouble getting the movie done in time.
I was trying to do too much with this.
What is the average weight of a ferret? And will it?
A weret is a were ferret.
Yeah, they only come out in full moons.
In droves. No. So then, where is it? It's in here somewhere. It's like obviously not a large amount of weight.
No, not less than 1 dar. Definitely.
And that's an estimate.
Yeah.
So then he now has this collection of animals. Oh yeah. So anyway, he befriends them. He has his menagerie. And Odo. And then he sees the tiger getting tortured by Jun people, so he attacks them and kills them and frees the panther.
Yeah.
And now the panther
you lost me for
is his friend. Now he's just heading off. I'm on my way now. I've got my pals, and I'm going to head on my true adventure. And he sees 2 women enjoying themselves in the water. And
as you do.
In a very appropriate for today's standards of living, this completely would fly in the work environment, of course. He tells the ferrets to steal. I mean, she's wearing clothes, but she left one piece of her clothing on the ground.
Those are her bathing clothes.
But still. Okay, fine. I didn't know that.
That's what she takes baths in. Don't you have a bath t-shirt?
Well, I've heard of a bathing suit, but I know. My priest always said it was something different.
Yeah, well, your priest told you a lot of things were different.
Right. He saw me. Wow, that's different. Anyway. So then she describes herself as a slave of the priest of the Temple of Ar.
Okay.
She sure gets to go out and just hang out on her own with presumably another slave unsupervised. Not common for slaves.
It was a different time.
Gotcha.
Times were different.
I mean, this is back when checkers was invented.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's like, you best stay away from me and go off and find the Juns like you said you were gonna, because I'm gonna get killed anyway, because I'm a slave.
Yeah.
Or does she know that? Maybe she doesn't know that actually. But she's like, I can't do anything in my life. I'm a slave girl. He decides to go after her anyway. stumbles across this tree
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of like hanging sacks of light around it. And this man is in a wooden cage. Do you remember this?
Yeah, I know this scene very well.
Okay.
This is like probably the coolest scene of the movie.
Oh, so he frees the guy in the cage, and then they discover that there's all these beings surrounding them.
Mm-hmm.
They're just very tall. They have scary masks on and these long cloaks. And the guy, in an attempt to get away, thinks it's best to just run right into one of them.
Yep.
And the
Just
guy
straight at him.
just right into him.
Just Red Rovers right into him.
Yeah. And so the guy like puts his arms around him and encloses him in his cloak,
Mm-hmm.
and that liquefies him for some reason.
Yeah, those are the coolest creatures in like an old 80s like barbarian type movie. Those creatures are so cool.
Okay. So
They're called they're it says in here an eerie half bird half human race.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. So that explains why Dar was able to get away.
Yeah.
So they were about to attack Dar, and then his friendly bird companion, the golden eagle, shows up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, of course, I pointed this out. I'm like, how lucky, how convenient that of the 3 animals in the world that Dar decides to befriend, one of them is the animal that these particular group of people worship.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's friends with our god, and so he gets to go free. I thought that was a little convenient.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't make for much of a movie if it just ended there.
Well,
with Dar being
it could have turned around that
dissolved.
that Kiri, the slave woman, ends up becoming the hero of the story somehow.
She would have also been dissolved.
Got it. Why?
Because they would have ate her too.
She wasn't there. He was looking for her. And
they would have found her.
Oh, got it.
I
Because they're half bird, half human people.
Yeah.
They have the eyes of birds,
They eat everything but the bones.
which are hollow.
Especially once you suck the marrow out.
Right. You have to hollow them out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The marrow is the most nutritious part. It has the most nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most nutrient rich. Anyway, so Mayax has now regained power and imprisoned the king.
Mm-hmm.
And he is left and right sacrificing children at the top of the temple. And obviously carrying a bunch of slave women to do, I don't know, I can only imagine there are some very nefarious things he is forcing them to do. Because he never shows them like doing manual labor.
Right.
And he lets them go off in pairs to take baths.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what purpose they serve. They don't show what he has them do, which makes them slave women, unless it's just the fact that they're imprisoned and they can't leave or they can't.
We can assume what they do.
Right. There is the threat that if she doesn't return, her family will be killed. So that's why she has to keep going back. I guess that's why she's able to just sort of be let off loose to go take care of some things on her own for a little bit.
Yeah.
They'll trust that she'll come back. That's as far as I got when it comes to like the
rewatching and
story beat thing. So anyway, he ends up meeting up with that guy named Seth, the most normal name in the movie, who used to work for the king. And Seth lies and says, we are people who are we're heading to the temple to worship there. And I just realized before we came up here that with him is this little boy with Seth. And Seth is another son of the king, right?
I don't recall that.
I believe they said that, if I'm not mistaken. It has to be for all of this theory or all of this to be true. But
okay,
I think it's another son of the king, and he says that Kiri, the slave girl, is his cousin, which means that Dar would also be related to Kiri. Which, just like in Star Wars, there's a not too distant family relationship where there's some sort of sexual aggression from one to the other.
I mean, different times.
Checkers.
They
were
both
brand
took
new.
place a long
no one
time
knew what
ago.
was going on. Yeah, I guess. So they're like, oh, we should travel together. Safety in numbers. Because Dar's like, yeah, I'm headed to the temple too. I'm also going there to worship. And then Dar shows them the little bag of things that his ferrets have stolen over time. One of them is a ring that has an eyeball on it.
Yes.
And the eyeball is what the witch women use to stare into that little cauldron of liquid and see other things going on. Which means that when they were first talking about the queen at the beginning of the movie, some person must have just been standing above her with the ring on and like sort of running it up and down her body to show the queen.
Kind of creepy when you think about it.
Yeah, because if that's how they see the outside world is through that ring, someone must have been just sort of scanning her body with the ring like, hey, yep, this is her. She's pregnant. And it's an open hut, trust me. No guards and nothing else. So now we can, I'll try to find some of my just sort of random notes that are not sort of, they might not show context or, anyway. Okay, dreams, things, sword, okay, did that. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, I already put that.
Well, I mean,
Why
I
are the
could,
wood houses
at this point,
exploding?
I could continue reading through what's left on Wikipedia, and then you could chime your notes in as we go.
Okay.
If that helps. So,
Sure.
Found out that, okay, so where are we at? So,
Oh, so I found, okay. He, at one point, towards, this must be him approaching the temple.
okay.
Because they have that gate that they always have to open up with that, like, spinning. It kind of looks like a lion's head, but it also looks like a bearded man. I think that's supposed to be the god R.
Okay.
That spins and it raises and lowers the gate. But the pathway to the entrance to the gate is sort of a winding path that's lined with skeletons on spikes.
Okay.
And so I put, good thing, let's see. When approaching the gate of a city, it's best to take the long, winding, indirect path lined with sun-scorched skeletons as opposed to just walking in a straight line.
It's
Because
it's a little wordy of a saying to put on a t-shirt, but
yeah, I didn't say this was for a t-shirt, but it was in the sand. It was all in the sand. So it's not like this path was some clearing that it made it easier to get there versus just stepping right off the path. You're in the same exact conditions as if
as
you were
far
on the
as
path.
like a defensive position, it's a good situation to have. If somebody's going to attack you, they have to take the long winding path. You have more time to react.
But you don't have to take the long winding path, is my point. There's no difference as far as travelability, the ability to traverse the straight line versus the winding line. There's no advantage
But so
to take the path.
But doesn't the winding path is what leads to the gate? Can you avoid going down the winding path and still get to the gate?
If you have a path like this,
yeah,
and you can see the entrance to the. There's no. It's all desert. It's all wide open.
But you have to. But would you have to get to the actual gate? Would you then have to break through into the path at some point?
You have to break through anything.
Okay, there's wide enough gaps that you could just walk through
easily.
Okay,
you could fit a horse through them. There's just poles with skeletons on them.
Okay,
lining the path.
I thought maybe it was more dense.
No, not dense at all.
Okay.
I'm like, you could just see that you clearly all open air area, nothing blocking your visibility. You could just see the city, just go in a straight line.
It's very similar to following the yellow brick road and how windy some of that gets. If you can, once you see the castle,
I know,
and the path still winds, you don't have to keep following the yellow brick road. You can just cut through the field and then fall asleep. Yeah,
they did that at some point, and that was the consequence of getting off of the yellow brick road.
Yeah, I suppose.
The difference here is it's a yellow brick paved road, which is very different from anything on either side of it. This is just sand, and then on either side of it, more sand.
How quick is the sand on the other side of the path?
I suppose that's a gamble you might take. You might find yourself in some sand that is quicker than the sand on the path. Sure. Fine. There's the argument.
The path seems less risky in the long run.
Okay. Let me see. Why is the gate to the city surrounded by a hot tar moat always open? the few times that Dar approaches it, the gate is open and he just walks right in.
Because they have nothing to fear. They have a tar moat.
Okay.
When you have a tar moat, you just, if I put a tar moat around my house, I'd just leave my door open all the time. I would have no fear. People would be like, I'm not going towards that house that has a tar moat. That's insane.
I mean, could you call a road a tar moat that's just solidified?
No.
Why not?
Because to be a moat doesn't have to be surrounding. Yeah, doesn't have to be surrounding something and like some sort of a depth. Maybe
you have to step up onto the sidewalk, from what I remember. The curb is risen above the road.
And I guess roads are constantly surrounding things.
I mean, it's kind of like roads or moats. Roads are solidified moats. You don't want this to be... It makes sense! And you hate it! You don't want to accept it.
You think for it to be a moat, though, it would have to have some sort of ability to keep you from getting to the other... Like, the whole point of a moat is to make whatever is on the other side of it less accessible.
I know.
And there's not... last time I checked, I have not seen a single drawbridge on any of the roads around here.
Well, no, but in this movie, the one bridge that goes across the moat, which leads you right to the gate to the city, is also just there. No one's pulling it back or drawing it out.
Right.
And so he just walks across the bridge and walks in the city. So the moat, the only thing the moat does is limit the you can only approach the city from this one spot. So I guess that is a defense tactic.
There wasn't a lot of, safety protocols back in the day of like making sure there's multiple exits so that people don't die in case of an accident,
Or a Jun attack.
Yeah.
I think it's pronounced Jun. Anyway. So let me see. Here we get to random notes. So at some point, I think the kid and Kiri are going through this tunnely part or underground part of something. I stopped kind of paying a lot of attention toward the end of this movie, but this little part, Dar walks across, and as he's walking, all of these hands come out with like spiky gauntlets on them and stuff, and they're all trying to grab at and scratch at Dar.
Okay.
Right? He fights them all off and then gets across. And then Kiri and the kid are just going to walk across. And he has to tell them no, like don't, even though they just watch those arms reach out and attack him. Do they think they're not going to attack them too?
Yeah, it's just stupid. They're just dumb.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Basically what the movie's saying is kids are stupid and women are stupid.
And they should just be slaves.
Both women and children.
Slaves are sacrificed to the gods. One of the two.
The Titanic had it all wrong. This whole women and children first thing. Why are we saving the stupidest people? Let them drown.
That was a misinterpretation of old text. The old text said women and children die first.
Right.
We misinterpreted it. Some woman read it.
Somebody wrote it in pencil and somebody erased part of it.
No, some woman interpreted it and said, "Here's what it says, gentlemen. The children and us females get to live first.
Die is German for are.
Survive.
Women and children are first.
Are first. Come first. Are more important and richer." So I forget who this guy is, but there's also... Anyway, I mean, this is really going to get sort of random and kind of all over the place. But do you remember this, like, brain-damaged guy? They end up making more of these guys, but they sort of manipulate them so that they're just these walking killing machines. All they want to do is just run around and kill people. That's what this guy is sort of introduced as, but then he seems to really be focused on getting those keys from those ferrets.
Okay.
Anyway, this is not... if you're not really familiar with the movie, these extra little comments are probably not going to...
It's been a while now, so I'm trying to...
I know.
So I'm trying to follow along with... So we got the whole part where Kiri is Zed's niece. As the three work to save her, while Seth gathers their forces, Dar helps Kiri and Tal infiltrate the temple and rescue King Zed. So that's kind of where you're at, right?
Yeah.
All right. An obstinate Zed leads his forces to attack the city despite the prudent warnings of Dar, who leaves the group in anger. They all are easily defeated and captured, and Dar decides to return to save them from being sacrificed. Are we there yet? With where you're at?
My notes, like I said, these notes now are ones where there's nothing.
Okay.
There's no context as to where they are in the movie. The closest thing is just the order in which I typed them.
Right. Okay.
So, like, I say, if the pit is the only way out of the city, like, I just call it the pit. I'm not like, then Dar and Kiri approach this pit that's covered up by this giant stone head, and they raise it up, and they say that you must take it to get out of the city.
Okay, so
then
most of the rest of what this is talking about on here is just the final battle with Mayax.
Sure. I mean,
okay.
It's a battle. What do you want? It's fighting, a lot of people die. But there's a part where they're down and they approach this. It's this hole in the ground that has this giant sort of stone boulder or like with the carvings in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's lowered down to cover up the hole, so that you can't go down. You can't enter this room or leave this room through this hole while that stone is there. It's like a giant locked door, only it's in the form of a giant stone. And you turn this thing to raise it up.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember Kiri saying that we have to go down this place because it's the only way out of the city. And I thought, if it's the only way out of the city, you would have had to have gotten into the city through that same hole.
Unless something was blocking their way out of the city in the normal way.
Probably what it was all of the enemies.
Right.
Would capture them if they try to leave that way.
Mm-hmm.
But she and the king and the kid, I think, seemingly go down the hole to get out, and he closes it up. Dar closes it up, and he's going to stand back and fight off attackers to give them more of a chance.
Right.
Well, then Kiri just walks back into the room after he's done attacking them. So either she never actually went down in the pit and just was sort of hiding and waiting for a moment to walk back out, or she found easily another way in.
We'll never know.
From the tunnel.
We may never know the answer to how she came back. It might have been bad editing.
Well, there's also these giant holes in the walls that might be for ventilation.
Mm-hmm.
And they just crawl out of they go from the inside of the temple to outside. It's there's several holes in the walls that just go up and go right outside.
So it wasn't the only way out.
Not even close.
This is one of many ways out.
Right, we have to take this way because there's other options.
Yeah.
Because one note I got, like, this deadly armor guy with the razor sharp gauntlets is having trouble cutting a rope with them. At some point someone must have, someone sends the ferrets to start biting the guy, the deadly gauntlet armor guy in the nuts. And so I typed, my natural reaction to a ferret biting me in the nuts is, of course, also to swing my sword down at the nearest rope that happens to open the gate I'm guarding when I cut it.
Well, at least he didn't swing it down at his nuts.
No, but he starts getting bit by a ferret. He's like, chop. Like, that's what you're going to do?
It's kind of that same situation in a movie when, like, the hood of your car pops up against the windshield and everybody just starts veering,
swerving and
violently to the left and right.
Yeah, you're talking about Tommy Boy, I know.
Well, I mean, that's one of many examples of that in movies where that happens and everybody's just like, oh my God, and just starts swerving everywhere. It's like, just hit the brakes. Slow down.
This is a giant temple, presumably made of stone, because this is ancient times. Checkers were just brand new, all the rage. And but there's a part where the panther, like, scares a guard into to back up toward the outside of the temple wall because he's just trying to get away. But there's clearly this giant. It looks like a hole got punched in the wall, like it's drywall.
Okay.
And that was completely in the middle of the shot, like the whole shot. He's approaching where the hole is. You can still see the part of the hole the part that got punched in. It's like not all the way. It's not, it's like kind of like this, and like this part is still connected, so it's like pushed in. Like something hit it. It looks like you can see that it's just a built thing,
right,
for a movie, and not like a solid stone, because a stone wall wouldn't have like this like little cutout circle,
right,
of something that got knocked in. I'm just surprised that no one looked at that and said, let's move over 3 feet this direction so you can't see that.
I mean, you're on a budget, cheap editors. I don't know. You just, you miss things.
Yeah. There's a point toward the end where the Mayax is he's thrown into the fire. Everything's over, and there are still Juns that are all around, and I don't know if I can't remember if they're still in the temple, like in the city walls, or if they're just talking about other Juns in the world that exist. But they, as the whole group, all the townspeople are like, some are like, no, we need to flee, or we need to not fight them, they will kill us all. And then other people are like, no, we need to kill them all and end this. And so Seth turns to the kid, which he must be in charge now, because he says, man turns to the boy, who is now the leader, and says, it's your decision now. But then both the boy and the guy immediately turn to Dar, and then Dar says, we're going to fight. So I don't get the writing, it doesn't make, anyway. So I'm sitting there going like, this, maybe we should have tried to write a movie in 1982. Because if this,
I mean,
if this could make a movie, anyway.
Yeah. I told you were going to love it.
So at one point they are trying to pull the bridge back that crosses the moat to keep some more people out. And it's just funny that this guy who's trying to encourage them to pull harder, he keeps saying, pull for your freedom. And I said, while yelling, pull for your freedom, the townspeople pull back the bridge that traps them all in the city, because there's no longer a bridge with which to use to get out of the city. So it's kind of the opposite of your freedom, but I know he's saying it because it's keeping the people that are not allowing them to be free.
Right. So is this castle, is this the king's castle? I think it's the town that the king lives in that has also the temple of R in it. It's just where the kingdom is. Okay. I was going to say, I'm like, so sometime between being attacked at the beginning of the movie to this point in the movie, he's upgraded from tent to castle. Oh, sure. Well, he might still just live inside of a tent inside of the walls. He might still just be in a hut. Yeah. Or a hut. Well, for a long time, he was kept down at the bottom of the temple as a prisoner because... Upgrade from hut. Yeah, big time. Anyway, there's not a lot of other meat here, but the last thing I thought of was, this is the Beastmaster. Right? Oh, another thing. He's able to give commands to the ferrets by talking to them. He's able to give commands to the panther by talking to it. I think he was able to give commands to some other animal by talking to it. Yep. But when it comes to the eagle... I already know where you're going. He has to just loudly squawk at the sky. He shrieks. He shrieks at the... I'm like, why can't he just talk to the bird? The same way he talks to every other animal. Is it because it's not a mammal? The thing you need to know about birds, they're very stubborn. Oh, sure. They need you to make an effort to speak their language. I see. Yeah. Okay. So they're very much like the French. Or the Americans. They're very... Sorry, let's go there. We will go to other countries. We will go to other countries and be mad that they don't speak English. True. Yeah. The only reason I said the French is because I heard a story about some friends that went to France, and certain people were just trying to speak English to French people,
Yeah.
and the French people were just ignoring them. But as soon as you made even a mild effort to speak French to them, they would speak English to you.
Oh, okay.
So it's just the
Okay.
fact that you've made the effort to speak to them in their language. Then they're like, okay, I'll appease you and explain it to you in English, so it's easier for you.
Is that
But
nice?
yeah, but
I
it's
don't-
much more like Americans, where if you don't speak English in this country, we are going to tell you to speak English.
Well, it's also like if you don't speak English, if I'm visiting,
Mm-hmm.
I better not have to even know any bit of another language. I'm going to
Yeah.
expect to find someone that speaks English in every part of the world I visit, because I am not going to learn another language.
Yep.
Boy, a lot of problems for the Beastmaster and all those people would be solved if Beastmaster could just talk to the enemy's horses.
Our horses,
Boy, oh boy.
maybe because the horses are domesticated, they are not considered beasts.
Oh, are they domesticated though? They might be
Yeah.
like, okay,
They're not wild horses.
so he can only talk to wild animals. Is that what you're saying?
That maybe
To make the story work?
Maybe it's the only way, because that's a really funny, such a funny plot hole.
Yeah, I'm like, boy, oh
if he
boy.
just convinces the horses to run the other direction
Yeah, every time they
or
attack.
off a cliff.
Yeah, something.
He would never
Boy,
do
he's-
that, though. He would never tell them to kill themselves.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
He
run
maybe
the other
can convince
direction,
them
sure.
to buck the riders
the
off.
enemies off. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then trample them and stuff like that. I was like, man, that would just help a lot of things.
Yeah.
Maybe he just
Or
didn't
he
think
could
of it.
call a swarm of birds in to help attack.
Yeah, what's one?
You know.
One I mean, yeah, one panther is pretty powerful, but
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Have the
The
panther
panther
go
has
out and
friends.
recruit more panthers.
Yeah, build it like an army of animals.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have made. Oh, we might have to rewrite this movie. Imagine doing a rewrite. A rewrite.
Remake
a
of
new story. Oh, I mean, it's based on a book, apparently.
Oh, sure, of course it is.
Based on the Beastmaster, 2 words.
Do you think that Mayax was like, oh, what do we do? It's probably just, it's open to interpretation in the book, but they're like, oh, let's go with Mayax. Let's go with a 2-syllable.
Yeah,
Max.
who knows? The book might be completely different names.
It might not be the name Max at all or Mayax at
Yeah.
all.
Well,
maybe
because
not.
the book is actually science fiction. I believe it's supposed to be like a post-apocalyptic story, so it actually takes
Wow.
place in the future.
Oh,
Versus,
wow.
yeah,
Okay. So it's like one of those futures where we sort of resorted to older ways because all of our modern stuff is destroyed type of a thing.
something like that. Yeah, the main character name is Hosteen Storm. He's Navajo.
Wow, they did nothing.
Yeah.
Is there anything they pulled? I mean, they must have pulled something.
Let's see. He has a empathetic and telepathic connection with a group of genetically altered animals.
Okay. Is he himself genetically altered? Like, wouldn't they be able to communicate with anybody then?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Team emigrates from Earth to the distant planet Arzor, where it is hired to herd livestock. Storm still harbors wrath with his former enemies. Has sworn revenge on a man named Quade, Quade.
So he can telepathically communicate with genetically altered animals? And they're like, how are we going to
Yes.
use this? Hey, go round up those cattle. That'll really...
Yep. But yeah, he wants to seek revenge on a man for murdering his father.
Yeah, that's kind of in line. Revenge is sweet.
It has sequels.
There's a sequel movie, I know. Is that what you mean?
I didn't know about the sequel movie.
I saw something it was just called like The Beastmaster 2,
What?
I think. Or maybe it could be that was it called The Beastmaster or just Beastmaster? But yeah, because when I searched for it on the streaming platform that I watched it,
Sequels
Beastmaster
and
came up.
television series.
Yeah, there's a series
Yeah,
too.
sequel Beastmaster 2 in 91, Through
Yep.
the Portal of Time.
Yep, that's what I saw the image for.
directed by the original film's producer. The made-for-television third film in 1996, titled Beastmaster 3, Eye of Baraxis. Both sequels feature Mark Singer in the role of Dar.
Wow.
Yeah. The films were followed by a syndicated television series in 1999. The series changes the backstory of Dar, and he's played by somebody else. All right. Well, next movie, Sean, Beastmaster 2. Gotta do it.
Yeah, that was the other thing too, because I'm like, when you were proposing that I do the sound editing for this, I'm like, I also have to paint, and now I'm watching movies again and taking notes on them, and you want me to now watch another movie? You do something.
I've already watched all these movies.
Right, but you like do something. Like, I thought about it the other day. Have you ever brought a guest on the show?
I don't know.
Unless you count AON, I think that I've been the person that's been responsible for every guest we've had on the show.
Sure.
Like, do something like that. Do something.
I thought I arranged Travis to come on.
Maybe. Sure. Okay, Travis. I'll give you Travis.
I mean, I'm not trying to be like, I've done it. Like, I'm just saying, I think I might have. I understand that the ratio is highly in your favor. I think I brought a couple people on, but yes.
Yeah. It's like, come on, like, you have some homework to do for this. I'm always the one being assigned homework.
I'm going to tell you right now, you cannot pin you watching Beastmaster on me. I suggested it as it would be funny for you to watch. And then I completely forgot about it until last week when you told me you watched it. And I was like, oh, cool. We'll do that then.
No, I know. But yeah, but then it gets to the point where
you pick a movie for me to watch that you know I haven't seen that you've seen.
I do not know of a movie that I
name one. Don't know any, do you? Name one.
Golly. I mean, I'll have to think about it. And then I would surely have to rewatch it anyway because my memory sucks, and so I would have to probably rewatch the movie anyway, anyhow. So, unless it's the Back to the Future trilogy.
We've already done that.
Or Jurassic Park.
We haven't done Jurassic Park, but we've done.
You've seen it.
I have seen it. I've seen the first one. I know I've seen the second one probably one time. Sure. And I don't think I've ever fully watched the third one.
Yeah,
the one that fully upsets you.
I must have watched the first one once because I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater.
Okay.
So, but I don't recall watching it after that ever, like all the way through. So I might have seen parts here and there, like if I'm scrolling through channels or something, or seeing something like an honest trailer about it where they show clips. Obviously, it's not a movie I ever want to. I think if I did, it'd be one of those where you go, you know what? Let me give it another chance. Maybe it's not
Jurassic
as bad
Park?
as I remember. The third one.
Oh, the third one. I thought you were still talking about the first one. I'm like, what?
No. I'd be like, let me see if it's not as bad as I remember. Maybe I got to just look past that one thing.
Yeah, I feel like once that scene happened, you just didn't care anymore. The rest of the movie didn't matter anymore after that.
Well, I mean, the part of it is ridiculous still. Like, it's basically these rich parents or these rich people who are just on this island they shouldn't be on, but they are because they're rich and they think they can just do what they want. And they don't understand, like, the true danger of the situation they're in. Because they think, like, oh, I'm rich and nothing can touch me because I'm rich. Like, that's kind of their mentality. And so they're just traipsing around shouting to try to find their kid that went missing on the island, not realizing that, and by disregarding any advice they get from anyone who tries to help them. It's one of those things where they just sort of stumble and blunder their way through the part of the movie that they're in. And it makes you just so mad because anyone else that has any rationality is like, no, you idiots. Like, this is incredibly dangerous. These are dinosaurs here. Shut up. And they're just like, oh, Timothy, where are you? They're just ignoring them. And I mean, that irritated me too.
Timothy's a weird name for a daughter.
I don't know if it's his. If it's. I don't. Did I say daughter?
No.
Nope. Did you say? You
I
know
said
it's a daughter.
I'm pretty sure it's a daughter.
Okay. Well, fine. I don't remember if it's a daughter or a son. I just said a name.
It's short for Timothina.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Timothy. Yeah, they really helped her out there by shortening it one syllable.
I said Timothina.
No, I know you said.
Okay.
But I was saying Timothy. So you were suggesting that Timothy was short for Timothina.
Yeah.
Tim. Okay. Anyway, so the Beastmaster.
I don't know. Beastmaster, 1982. There you go. Go watch it or don't.
Yeah, there's a lot more that we didn't talk about because I didn't do my full job.
Yeah, and this plot read through on here really jumped ahead on some stuff. Yeah, because all of a sudden it was just like it just jumped to them having their battle.
Right now that part of the movie is still pretty fuzzy for me. Because I remember there being a battle, and I remember them trying to get out, but I don't remember, like, why do the ferrets have this set of keys? And why is this big, like, brain-damaged, just murder machine just hitting pipes that the ferrets are crawling through to try to get at the ferrets, to try to get the keys back? When you think he's supposed to be just out there rage-killing everybody. You don't think he'd have the ability to focus on getting a set of keys from some ferrets, but he does. I know they must go into the temple to try to free the king, and then the rest of the crew are out battling. Just the battle, like the people out, all the people that are outside the temple. Maybe that's all a diversion, so they can sneak the king out. I don't remember. Anyway, I don't think I'm going to finish rewatching it now that we've had our episode about it. Maybe, who knows? But you remember that Hollywood Babylon podcast where they would do exquisite acting?
Yes.
I don't know if this part was ever actually featured on the show, but it probably could be. Where at the very beginning, when they're like, "Oh, you're going to be killed by the unborn son of the king," and he's like, "No, we will sacrifice him," and like, "No, the prophecy it says so," and he goes, "You will die tonight." He's just very. Up to an 11, like in a very weird delivery of the line, but I'm like, oh, that probably could be on exquisite acting if it wasn't already.
Yeah,
I could see it easily have been featured already on the show. I haven't listened to that show in a while.
Good old Patches O'Houlihan. It's Rip Torn's character in Dodgeball.
Okay, see you next Tuesday.
If you have a question, complaint, or threat for Sean or Matt, you can reach us on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, X, or Instagram at hsfamouspod, or you can email the show at highschoolfamous@gmail.com. No animals were pleasured during the making of this podcast, despite our best efforts. All hail our Lord and Savior.
Basically what the movie's saying is kids are stupid and women are stupid. This whole women and children first thing, those are why are we saving the stupidest people? Let them drown.
Chop.